Hey guys, it's Kelly. I am back with another process video. Today I am using the May Hip Kit, and this kit came with some 6x6 papers from Chickanetti, and I knew that right away I wanted to cut them in strips and do a layout with strips from top to bottom. And I had done another process video layout with Heidi Swap papers and strips, and it was with my son, and I'll put a little comment as to which process video that one was, but I had fun doing it and I knew that I wanted to do it again, so this made the perfect opportunity. So I decided that what I wanted to do was have some soft colors come out of both sides of the paper strips, and I wanted to pull some of the colors, and the yellow was one of the predominant colors, so I wanted a little bit of yellow, and I wanted to pull in some purple, and there really isn't a whole purple in the papers, but the picture has these bright purple verbena flowers that I just love, and I thought it would be neat just to have that little bit of an accent of purple and then just a little bit of blue. So I wanted to have several layers on this, and I pulled out the Crate Roller stamp, and this one is of hearts, and I wanted to just see how this Ombre Hero Arts pink ink would look, and I did not like it. It was too bright. It didn't go with what I wanted. So I just used a little bit of the white pigment ink from Avery Elle, and it was actually kind of whitish pink from the stain of the Hero Arts, but I didn't mind that. I liked that little bit of texture. And then I decided that I really wanted to use this Heidi Swap texture paste, and it is a metallic color, and I just thought it was really pretty and it was new and I wanted to use it. So this is where my layout goes bad, that I'm just not really liking it. But I decide that sometimes with mixed media, you go down a path and you may not like it, but you get back to where you do. So I decided to let it dry and come back to it and see what I thought. So I knew that I wanted to mount the paper on another piece of cardstock for stability. So I went ahead and chose purple, again, just trying to pull out that the flowers and the purple watercolor. And I had written down the order of my strips because I knew that if I didn't, I would forget, and decided to also stitch along the bottom with my sewing machine. And I'm not sure if you can see that detail at this point or not. But so each layer of the paper has a little bit of stitching, and then I'm just going to gently pull the ends up. So at this point, what I'm doing is just kind of estimating the widths of the paper, how much I want to be shown for each, and trying to figure out the widths. Like I did not want to measure. I didn't want to use anything that would make it more time consuming. I just wanted to eyeball it, and I'm sure there's probably an easier way of doing it, but that would not be the way that I would ever take. I apparently like to take the long, difficult way. So I'm trying to attach this, and I'm having all sorts of adhesive problems, and I finally just go and get my ATG gun and refill it and start back. And what ultimately ends up working is the hot glue gun. So I just want to make sure that I'm lining up that bottom layer, and I'm using my T-square ruler. And if you don't have one of those, it is such a nice tool to have in your arsenal. I want to say it's like less than $3. I know that Michael's has it, and Joann's does, and it's probably with either the sewing or the art supplies in those stores, and I just use it for lining up things or for journaling. And sorry, you see my head there. And like I said, it's inexpensive and it is just so nice. I use it all the time and it's probably one of my favorite tools. So at this point, I'm still looking at it and I know that I need to use my hot glue to get it down. And I'm still not loving it, but I'm going to keep going and figure out, where the layout's going to take me. And, with every layout that I make, I don't necessarily have to always love the layout. A lot of it's just to, get a memory documented or a story told. And, let's face it, there are going to be some layouts that you absolutely love, and then there's going to be some that are just okay. But in the end, it's another story documented. So, that was why I just decided to keep going. So I'm going through the ephemera, and I have this thing where the ephemera has to make sense for me to be able to put it on a page. There are some people that just are so awesome and can make anything work, even if it's not related on a page. But I just really have that big stumbling block, and if it doesn't relate, I can't put it on, or I don't feel like it works. So some of this ephemera, whether it be like the pineapples or the flamingo, I really struggled with. So I decided for the title, I wanted to go back and use these gold thickers that were in a previous kit. And just kind of playing around, seeing where I think that I want things and pulling out things that could potentially go on the layout. And one of the things when I'm tucking things in is I don't want things to be right on top of one another. And I like for them to kind of go down the page so your eye doesn't get stuck in one area. So you can see that I'm trying to go back and forth with the page and the elements that I'm placing. And this part for me is what's fun, is just trying to find the different areas that you can tuck, or just a little surprise, a little something special. And that was what I really enjoyed with the Heidi Swap layout that I did. But I will tell you, it was just a struggle with me trying to find some of these embellishments that would make sense in my head. And it was also a struggle because I wasn't loving this background. And I think this layout sat on my desk and I worked on it for 3, if not 4 days. And I don't usually work on a layout that long. And I'm not saying 4 days all day, obviously, but just like little, bits here and there. And I just, couldn't figure out what I wanted to do or how I wanted to fix it. And so in the end, what I do is I rip everything up and put it back on another background. And that took me a day to get to that point, but then I just thought, this is ridiculous. I'm not liking it. I'm really struggling with it. And I found that once I ripped everything up and put it on another background, that the page came together so much easier. And so I guess that would be my big piece of advice is, number one, if it's, like your background and you're struggling with it, and there's, things that you don't like about it, and you've tried to fix it and cover it up, toss it. It's a piece of paper. That's it. You don't have to, make yourself struggle through the page if you're just really not happy with it. So that was what I did. And I pulled out these Lindy Stamp Game mist that I had, and I cannot remember the names of the colors, but I will have that information out on my blog post. And I just sprinkled these and added a little water just to help make it a little bit runnier. And this was so much prettier for me, and the look that I was going for, something a little bit softer. And I think that when I did the Heidi Swap texture paste in the color, that was what just threw it off for me. But if you don't practice, and if you don't experiment, and if you don't play around with things, how are you going to ever find out what you like and what you don't? So I wasn't upset with it. It just, it was what it was. And this already was so much better. And you can see that when I pulled the things up, that the embellishments that I had already glued down, fortunately, stayed on the page and I didn't rip anything. So I was amazed at how forgiving the hot glue was when I was pulling things up off the page. So I did find some yellow ribbon in my stash, and I tucked it under the edges of the paper on both sides, and I really liked the way that added a little bit more of a finishing touch. And now when I put the title down, it just seemed to me that the layout was finally coming together. This was so much more of what I had pictured and what I'd had in mind. So enamel dots are also one of my go-to embellishments. So I went ahead and put those down in 3 different places. And the enamel dots that I am using were all from my stash, and I believe they are all freckled fawn. And I used my tiny attacher to attach the yellow butterfly and the pink. And I would love to know how I can open up my tiny attacher. And I tried. And I cut that part of the video out because I tried for a good long time. So I finally just lifted up the page a little bit with my adhesive remover and stapled it. I was able to reach the butterfly at that point, but I know that there's a video or someone shows a way of opening up your tiny attacher. So if anyone knows, would you please, please, please leave me a comment as to where I can find it. But that's pretty much it for this layout. I do have some close-ups at the end, and I just wanted to thank you guys for hanging out with me, and welcome to all of my new subscribers. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.